And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock and Sports Show, live from higher top Hard Rock and Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together where we bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and of course, the wide world of sports. And thank you all for tuning in. Tonight is Thursday night, June the 18th in the year of our good Lord, 2026. And I hope you guys have had a great week. Weather's been nice. Get a little warm in the afternoons, but what a beautiful week weather-wise. Looks like for the next week we'll be in the low 80s, which is always a good thing this time of the year. As we creep into the summer season, which I think is this weekend, and we are on the cusp of the 2026 4th of July celebration of 250 years. For this country, hold on, UFC 250. So I hope you guys are making plans to celebrate. It is a joyous occasion. This country is, with all of its craziness and ugliness sometimes, and all of the division, we are still the best country in the world. No, everybody wants to be here. Everybody wants to be us, and you should appreciate that. Not everybody does. I'm not going to even pick political parties. And I say the same thing. If you don't like it, get out. Go live somewhere else for a couple of months and see how much you like it there as opposed to here. So, but I hope you guys are getting geared up. There's celebrations everywhere. I'm sure every town, every city has their own unique celebration. If they don't, then you shouldn't live there. I will be celebrating mine in Florida, I believe. But I look forward to the 4th and all the festivities and all that goes with it. It's a wonderful time. You have to soak it in and enjoy it. So I hope you're doing that. Of course, the big news for the week, and just to go back, we did have a start of the celebration with the UFC fight on the lawn of the White House, which I don't get why people are against it. I mean, what the hell's the problem? It's one of the best places in the world, and you had a major event. If you don't like UFC, I didn't like UFC. I didn't watch it. But the pageantry around it, all the stuff, the patriotism, whatever. But if you don't like UFC, then don't watch it. But all these negative people, please. If you don't, I don't like UFC. I'm not a big fan of it. I think. I don't watch boxing either. I don't find them to be interesting sports at this point in time. So I avoid it. But Jesus Christ, man, leave it alone. You don't like it? Don't watch it. Turn the channels, 100 channels. Go watch something else. Whatever. Go watch Miss Rachel or something. Who the hell knows? Anyway, the big news, though, is, of course, something that I would think I might never see in my lifetime, and only had hopes that my children and grandchildren would have the ability to stand around long enough to see the New York Knicks win their first title in 53 years. And I got to tell you, this might go down as the best playoff championship run I've ever seen. Now, football's short. You get 4 games, it's 4 weeks, and it's magical, but it's one game at a time. You see it in baseball, you see it in hockey. We've had those magic runs, but the Knicks start out 1-2 and then go 13 and 1-2. They went 15-1 the rest of the way. They won 13 straight games, right? At one point, this was a magic run. This is something that you may never see, and the way that they won in the playoffs. In the championship was amazing. And I will get to it. I don't know how much Jeff saw, replays, highlights. I don't know. But if you're the NBA, you have to be thrilled. You got a flagship franchise. You got their new face of the league, who's really a villain in Wembanyama. We'll get to a lot of his antics. But you got to see their rising star, maybe a couple others in Dylan Harper and Castle. And you saw a Knick team that I never thought I'd see before. I don't think this is the most talented Knick team I've ever seen, but this probably is the best Knicks team I've ever seen because they played and they changed their style in the middle of these playoffs, in the middle of and it turned them into world champs. And New York celebrated, and they did a lot of stupid stuff, and we're going to get to all of it. Right down to today's parade, which I did not see. My son went down, and he said it was just an absolute zoo. You know they were pushing you down streets, the cops, to where you couldn't even see the parade. You'd have to watch it on TV from where they were. So I hope everybody got out of there safe. I did not hear about any disturbances, so hopefully it was peaceful and people enjoyed it. And we'll get to all of that. White House. Sorry, I'm just making notes. So yeah, it's a glorious time in New York sports. Again, I've heard everything from who's the next team next to win. Sorry, can this team repeat? Are they bringing this one back? Guys, enjoy this moment. Enjoy this team. It's going to be over in a few minutes. It doesn't last forever. It's been 53 years since the last one. It could be another 53 years to the next one. Enjoy it. Enjoy these players. They're actually easy to root for. They're actually come across as simple, humble players. Now, maybe they're not. They're probably driving around in $200,000 cars and all that stuff. But they're a likable bunch, and they played great basketball. Even though they got outplayed, I will tell you, for 3/4 of every game, the Knicks were outplayed. But when it mattered and when it's needed, they came back. So we'll get to some of that. We'll talk a little bit about Brandon Sorsby, Pride Night for the San Francisco Giants. We got a top 12 guitar playlist. We got a few things to talk about. We'll see how it goes. But this is gonna be a Knicks night. So if you're not a Knicks fan, you might not want to be here. We're gonna kick it off. I'll get some perspective from my dad, who saw the last 53 year ago champs, 69 and 70, and he's watched this one. So we'll get my dad's perspective on these teams and everything that went around it. So let's get the show kicked off. Let's get my buddy, who's coming up on a big birthday real soon. So we're looking forward to celebrating that right here on the air. I think we're going to celebrate it on the 9th, but we'll see. I don't know if Jeff's got some big birthday plans coming up, but in the meantime, we got a show to do, and let's kick that off with my best buddy, Mr. Jeff Tolwinski. What's up, my man?
What's going on?
Not much, Jeff. Let's kick off the show like we always do. Jeff, how was your week?
It's not over yet. I got to work tomorrow.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm going in on Juneteenth
to
make that reparations money.
I am actually off tomorrow. I am on Juneteenth vacation day. So
not me. I want the
sure.
I get another day to take off. That's what I'm hoping to get. Well, not hoping to get. I'm that's what I'm gonna get. That's why I'm going in.
Okay.
That and I can't just stay at home and celebrate that day. I can't. I'm sorry.
I still, to this day, don't know what Juneteenth represents, and guess what? I don't care.
I hear you. It's supposedly the day that they freed
the last slave. Yes.
Yeah, but you know what? Time and a half and a day to take off later, I couldn't give a fuck less what they did with the slaves.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jeff. I'm with you on that one. But Jeff, we got we're in that lull period. We always talk about June and the early July is that lull period. We'll be off the show. We'll not be on the air on July 2nd, so we'll do the show next week. Louis Picas. Louis, is that the official menu for Juneteenth? Is that the official menu?
First of all, what's up, Anthony? And Louis Pica, is that extra batter or single dipped? What? And the grape soda, is that shaved ice or cube?
So yeah.
I like that menu. I can do without the watermelon though.
Matt said it's the day that Jeff actually sits down and watches a full football game when the season starts. So let's talk a little bit. So where was I going before I started to laugh? All right, so Jeff, it's that lull of the season where we're trying to find things, and we come up with some interesting topics. I got a couple of interesting topics to get to tonight, but this is an easy show. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to last, but whether you're a basketball fan and a Knicks fan, if you're a New York City, New Jersey resident, you had to have felt the energy from this Knicks team and their remarkable playoff run. And I got to ask you, Jeff, have you ever seen a run where not only did the players win in the games, but the energy around it taking over the city like this?
No, because the Knicks haven't won in 53 years. So, you know, while every game brought us closer, I think everybody was, had the same thought, like, is this year the year it's going to happen? The Knicks have gone to the finals before a couple times,
Yes.
and they ended up losing in the finals.
Yes.
And they went to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple times over the years.
Yeah, last year.
And they might have had better teams before going into this year. But as the playoffs went on, I mean, what was it? The second round against Philly, was it then when they were piling on the points like you wouldn't believe, or was it the third round?
Well, second round against Philly, and then they played Cleveland, I believe, in the third round.
Yeah, but there was one round where they were just like piling points on, like it wouldn't stop, and they were setting records and playoff records. It was just like unbelievable.
Yeah, well,
so maybe a team of destiny this year. Evidently, they got the trophy, they won. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen those 90 Yankees, 97, 98, 99 Yankees. I think 97 and 98 they won like 16 or 20 games in a row, like in the World Series. Like they just couldn't be. They swept. I know they swept the Padres. They did not sweep. They won the last 4 against the Braves in 96. They won 4 straight against the Padres in 98. I want to say they won 4 straight against the Braves in 99. And then they won the first game against the Mets and then lost game 2. So that would be 4, 8, 12, 15 in a row in World Series. If I'm not mistaken, if Louis, you're still out there, let me know if I'm right about it. I'm almost positive they won 15. But never in that time did I feel maybe the Subway Series in 2000 kind of you had both New York teams. It was a rivalry, obviously. But to me, there was nothing. Maybe 94. Did you remember back to 94 enough to say you think the energy around that Ranger was comparable to what you felt or what you saw out here now? Everybody in Ranger jerseys. Was it as I remember it only because I remember playing hockey nearly every single day that whole time up at PS13, and the place, especially on a Saturday, was packed with people playing. I mean, there would be 30, 40 people showing up on a Saturday to try to get into a hockey game.
Yeah, but of course, it's exactly what happened. And as every game went on and you brought it closer, like people started to think, and the Rangers were another team that year that just was on fire. They started to cool off a little bit in the finals against Vancouver. They went 7 games, but if I remember right, they sweep like the Islanders and the Capitals in the first 2 rounds, and then they played one of the greatest rounds ever against the Devils, and then they went to 7 games against the Vancouver. So I mean, another team that ended up canceling out a streak like you wouldn't believe. Listen, that's a big accomplishment. 54 years, and then finally winning the cup. That was a big thing, and the amount of people that became hockey fans afterwards, was huge. Hockey was riding a wave for a very long time. I'd say at least a year or two seasons after that, because the Devils then got into the cup.
Correct. Yeah,
and we had Wayne Gretzky on the Rangers for a while after that. So, hockey was very relevant in New York. And the basketball, there seems to be a lot of basketball fans, of course, in New York. And I'm sure that they made a lot of new fans have come out of the woodwork. People that you probably have even said the Knicks. Now all of a sudden they're watching a game. I'm going to the parade, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. If I tell you the amount of people, like just younger people, men and women. I mean, got to be in their early 20s. How many people walking the streets of Manhattan with a Knick hat or a Knick shirt or some sort of paraphernalia on? Last one to get to Caps in DC. Yeah, I Catalano. I know there was a big run there. I thought Jeff might be right, but you're probably right. They lost
So
one.
see, even that means that they ended up going 9 games in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, they were.
It wasn't until they went to the third round, the the conference finals, that they went 7 against Jersey, and then if I remember right, 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, I would tell you that series against the Devils may be the best hockey series, even though they won the cup in the next round, and it was a good round. Don't get me wrong, the Stanley Cup that year against Vancouver was great, but that series against the Devils may be the best hockey series I've ever watched.
Don't you feel as though that the Rangers, like I know that this is getting way off track, but don't you think they should have been able to handle the Canucks a lot better than what they did? They would, Canucks, if I remember right, were eighth seed in the playoffs that year, and it took the Rangers 7 games to beat them, and they almost didn't do it.
No, I agree. And Mike Richter stood on his head, and Leach was amazing. You know what? I always took it that the Rangers, after that Devil series, it was almost like a letdown. Like it was everything they could do to win that Devil series, and then that next year was almost a letdown. And it was the travel to Vancouver. You
couldn't ask for a harder travel schedule that way, man. Holy shit!
But I thought it was a good series. The Rangers played well enough; they won. But Richter standing on his head, Leach was amazing. And again, listen, they won. It wasn't the prettiest 7-game series I've ever watched. That Devil series to me was the mecca of hockey series. So Game 6 of Meadowlands was the best game. Yeah, I would agree with you, Frankie. I think that was one of the greatest hockey games I've ever watched. I mean, just Matto. It was just a great game, and but great series. But let's stick with the Knicks. I've said it for years on this show. You can have a Giants win, Jets win. You can have Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Island. Doesn't matter. But nothing was going to be bigger than the Knicks because there isn't. And I heard this somebody say it, and I couldn't agree with it more. There isn't another basketball team in this city that matters. The Nets are there. They got a few fans. Every other sport, Jeff, they split up the fans. Even if it's not even, you're splitting it up. So if there's 5 million Giant fans, they're split. If there's 5 million Yankee Met fans, they're split. There might not be an even split, but it's a split, and it's reasonably close.
It's a split, yeah. But I mean, listen, Giants, Jets. There's definitely more Giants fans than there are Jet fans, and as far as Yankees, Mets, there's definitely more Yankee fan than there is Met fans. These teams, certain franchises, the Jets, the Mets, the Nets. These are, I'm not going to call them juniors, but in New York City, that's what they are. They're the junior teams. One, they don't win on a regular basis. They've all proven that.
Yeah.
And the Knicks were here first. So I mean, the Nets started off in New Jersey. They were they the New York Nets, and then the New Jersey Nets, and now they're down there in Brooklyn. So didn't they move around anywhere?
Yeah, I think they were in the ABA. I think they started out in Nassau County, then they moved to New Jersey, and now they're in the Barclays Center, so they're now the Brooklyn Nets. So they were New York Nets.
Yeah,
I think that was ABA basketball.
Yes, it was. But so they never stayed long enough in one spot to, I mean, you can't compare them to the Knicks. The Knicks have always been the Knicks, and I don't even know what year the Knicks started, but they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, but yeah. So my point is, when the Knicks were going to win, this city was going to blow up, and it did. And I'll say this, and I want to get my dad on soon, but what I hoped for when the Knicks won was the opposite of what we got. Like, I get it. Here's the thing, Jeff. I've seen 7 Yankee World Series. I've seen 4 Giant Super Bowls. I've seen the Rangers win. Now I've seen the Knicks win. I've never, ever had the longing after watching the championship game to run outside and burn something down. I just haven't. And I think most normal people don't. If there's 100,000 people out there, there's 5 morons out there that start this shit. I just don't get the thought process to say, I'm so happy my team won. Let's go wreck somebody's car. Let's torch a school bus. Let's threaten some cops. Jeff, the mentality of that makes no sense. And I know a lot of it has to do with the current mayor in New York, and people don't
It
have
has it has nothing at all to do with the current mayor of New York. He's an
I'll,
asshole, but
I'll
he has
disagree
nothing
with
to
you.
do with it.
If Rudy
I'm going to
Giuliani was
dis.
if Rudy Giuliani was mayor, it never would have happened. It
I'm going
never
to
would
tell
have
you.
happened.
I'm going to tell you
Never.
why I
I'll disagree with
disagree.
you. Go
Well,
ahead.
you can disagree all you want.
Yeah.
Life has already proven that I'm right and that you're wrong. It happens all over the place,
Mhm.
and it involves one certain demographic. They cannot control themselves. They can't control themselves. It does not matter who the fucking mayor is. These people are fucking animals. They're gonna act like animals, and they're gonna use every excuse in order to drop everything and continue to be animals. Just can't handle themselves. They just can't enjoy the moment without wrecking and destroying and ruining everything for everybody else around them. They're fucking animals. Just admit it. Leave it at that. The mayor, I'm sure the mayor doesn't want anything getting burned. He don't want that black mark against them. These people just can't fucking handle themselves. They're fucking animals. That's all you got to. They're fucking animals.
I understand your point. I don't
And
agree with
it
you.
happens whenever there's a fucking championship someplace. It happens. And when you see it happen, who is it?
Well, I would say this. Here's where I'll disagree with you. We've seen Yankees five. We've seen in since the '90s. We've seen five Yankee World Series. We've seen the Giants win 4 Super Bowls. You know, we've seen the Rangers win, and nothing burned because you had mayors in the city
You're
who
right. But
told
here's
the
the thing,
cops,
too.
wait, let me finish. Who told the cops, do not let them do this. And instead, today you have a communist mayor who doesn't care about crime, who doesn't care about the cops, and the cops just stood back and said, "Do whatever you want to do." Until finally somebody said, "All right, go ahead, go round them up." So while I agree with you, it probably would have happened anyway. There's a good chance. I would tell you, people felt much freer in this environment today than they ever would have 20 or 25 years ago. That's my
Well,
opinion.
listen, and you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
Okay. The Rangers, how many people actually play in the NHL that are of this persuasion? Okay, you could count
Okay.
them on one hand and remove the thumb, probably. Okay, then think of that. Second of all, football. While they like football, it's not their main focus. It's not their main game. Okay, they like to jump. They're athletic. Yeah, they play football, but it's just not the same. You need less space for them to play it. It's a city game. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And they don't play baseball. Yeah, there's some play baseball, but they don't play baseball like we do. You go past an empty field in the ghetto, there is nobody playing baseball. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the gloves, the bats, the balls. They
Well,
don't. They're not up on the game. So while your point, oh, I understand your point, and I get it. These are just people that just Tom. This is their game. This is their moment to burn. You know what I
well,
mean? It happens
again,
all over the country.
I get your point. Again, I'm not sure I agree,
And
but
now,
all
don't
right.
get me wrong, Mandami is a fucking idiot. He is a fucking. I cannot wait. It sickens me. It
Mhm.
sickens me to see where this man is and what he's doing at this point in time.
Yeah,
It literally sickens me. It's
it should.
disgusting.
It should. Anybody who lives in New York should be sickened by it, but unfortunately, they're not. So, but listen,
No,
Alan,
well,
to
no,
your
they're not.
point, it is one of the greatest runs of all time. It's the greatest Nick team I've ever seen. Personally, I cannot compare them to those Hall of Fame teams of the '69 and '73. But I will tell you, since 1976 when I started watching the Knicks to now, this is the greatest Knick team I've got to see. I mean, Ewing was great and he had some good players. This collection might not be the best individual set of set of players. I even think even Brunson, who I think um, I have a hard time saying he's a great player. He's not good defensively. Um, he's not a true point guard. He does not make other people better around him. But here's what I'll say about Jalen Brunson. Maybe you guys agree or disagree. He reminds me of Derek Jeter. And why I say that is Derek Jeter was not the most talented baseball player, shortstop I've ever seen. there were guys, Garcia Parra and Rodriguez and some of those other guys from that time were better physical shortstops. But Jeter was the best of them because when the moment was bright, he did what he needed to do to win, and that's Jalen Brunson. I don't know if anybody's going to agree with that, but that's how I look at it. Jalen Brunson, when fourth quarter hit and somebody needed to step up, it was him. And I have a hard time saying he's a great player because great players to me are Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and I'll put Ewing and some of those guys in there where they were good. They were great defensively, great offensively. They made other people better. I don't get that from Jalen Brunson. I'm not knocking him. I take him on my team tomorrow. But I will tell you that, this is not the best collection of basketball players I've ever seen individually. As a team, best Knicks team I've ever seen. I've never seen a Knicks team play this well together, Jeff. They were a team. They did everything they needed to do, and they changed themselves as the game progressed to fit what they needed to do to win that game.
Well, say what you want about some of these teams, and I hear you. I understand what you're saying, but as far as the New York Knicks, Brunson has one more ring more than fucking Michael Jordan, John Starks,
Oh yeah,
Anthony Mason, and then
oh
several
yeah,
others. Okay, Charles Oakley and a whole bunch of others
sure.
of their time in New York. I don't remember who and if any of them ever won a championship outside of New York, but as far as being in New York, he did something that hasn't been done in 53 years.
Oh no, 100%.
While I understand the angle you're going at, it's what, it's like you said, it's time to enjoy it.
Yeah,
Not tear it down, because honestly, I've read more about basketball. I didn't watch any of it because I just didn't want to jinx them by watching it. But I was following on the app all along and reading in the paper and everything. I think that this is going to be a very hard thing for them to repeat next year.
Absolutely.
And might be as hard as any other championship run for any other sport at this point in time, because I don't know if they have it in them, and if they're going to have the ability to go again like that. I mean, that was a big thing, man. You think about what they did. That's that's a lot, man. That was a great series, a great playoff run. You don't realize it when you look at it in the first round, and they played Detroit in the first round, right?
They played Atlanta first round, Philly second round,
Atlanta,
and Cleveland.
Yeah, Atlanta, Philly, Cleveland. So in the first round, you're like, okay, Atlanta, they beat Atlanta. Then they went on to Philly. I remember Philly getting past Boston, and I'm like, wow, maybe Philly's a good team. And then they got past Philly, and then they're playing Cleveland. And then you start to think, and you're like, well, why not the Knicks? Why not?
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say is, the whole time while watching it, I was never like, they got this. Even when they were up 3-1, I was like, if they don't close it out, I don't know if they could have done it in 7 games.
I'll agree with you. I think they had to win game 5 because game 6 would have been a ton of pressure. And if they had found a way to lose game 6, going back game 7, that would have been a tough match. And I'll tell you, Jeff, I'll agree with you. It was the same story. And Alan, I'm going to respond to you in a second. But it was the same story every game. Every game they came out, they were bad. They got behind double digits in the first quarter. They were outplayed for most of the first half. And then somehow in the third quarter, you could feel the momentum change. And Jeff, to me, I know you didn't watch the series, so I'll talk to the guys who did. But
I followed it, I read it, and everything else.
Yeah,
it was incredible what they did and how they came back. Yeah, you're right. You were playing from behind the entire series.
Yeah, and the problem for the Spurs was it's kind of a little bit Knick-esque, and what I mean by that was they basically went with a short rotation and they played pickup press basketball, the Spurs, from foul line to foul line. And what I noticed was they were fine. They're young kids. First half was great. They were all over the Knicks. And then all of a sudden, their legs went out. And you could see they were tired. And these are 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old kids. But they were going so hard for so long that in the second half of the games, when you shoot a basketball, it's all your legs. It's everything comes out of your legs. So when you're tired, you don't have that little bit of giddy up. And they were on fire in first halves, and then the second half had nothing. And they didn't have the deep enough bench. They didn't have the wherewithal to make the change to maybe say, let's step back a little bit and not put that much pressure on. But they felt they had to go out there and press the Knicks. So to me, this was simply a case that the Knicks outlasted these guys. And in the fourth quarter, when the games were on the line, Brunson and Towns and various Hart and Bridges and Alvarado had the legs, and that's how they won. So to me, Alan, to you, yes, Brown outcoached them. Their coach may be a great coach someday, but right now he got outcoached as a first-year head coach. He did not have any answers. He did not know what to say to his team to get them to stop the losing. In the middle of games, at the end of games, he did not have the answer to say, okay, this is how we're going to change the score. And Jeff, it didn't matter in game 5 if it went to 6. If the Spurs got up, in the back of their mind, they're saying no lead is safe. And it ultimately proved to be the case in game 5. They were, again, up, all the momentum in their way, at home, and the next thing you know, the Knicks win by 4.
Yeah, listen, the Knicks were definitely not dominant, but they came to play at the right time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you could say and think whatever you like. The bottom line is that look what they did.
Yeah.
And they were able to do what they had to do at the right time. So, just like when we talk about football and we say these teams have to learn how to play 4 quarters, they don't play 4 quarters. There's 2 halves. They got to play the second half too.
Yep.
It's quite evident that San Antonio was not built to run for 4 quarters
that's
and
the
play
problem.
2 halves of basketball. So whatever lead they had against the Knicks just simply wasn't enough, and the Knicks were able to come back. Now, it would have been nicer if they had these games a little bit more in hand.
Yeah.
Instead of, I remember watching one game unfold on the app when it was like going into the fourth quarter and they were down by like 2. And I kept checking it every couple minutes. And then next thing you know, I'm like, holy shit, there's seconds left. They're up by 1. And it's like, how the fuck did this happen? But the bottom line is that they brought home the trophy, man. So I'm sure right now, in a couple months, nobody's going to remember exactly how this all happened. The bottom line is that they have the trophy and that they're the champions. So,
yeah, no, listen, congratulations. And I disagree a little bit. I think they were dominant. I look how many games in a row they won when the Spurs obviously upper echelon team. They had to fight harder. Matt, I agree with you in theory, but you have to say, I would tell you for 3/4 of every game, the Knicks were outplayed. They outlasted the Spurs. The Spurs ran out of gas. If the Spurs were 2 men deeper on their bench, or if their coach was smart enough to maybe stop the press, he had those guards going full court press an entire game. They wore them out. It's the same thing that got Thibodeau fired from the Knicks. Is he had a 6-7 man rotation and he burnt those players out, and that's why he got fired. And I give Mike Brown props. He came in, and in the middle of that Atlanta series, he changed his offense, took the ball out of Brunson's hands, and ran Cat on a point center role, and it changed their whole offense, and it forced the other teams to not double Brunson, and he was able to get his spot. And other guys hit. They had some big games from Shamet, but I give them props for finding a way in the middle of that series in Atlanta, and from there, rocket ship. But Matt, I will not say they dominated. They may have dominated the fourth quarters. They may have dominated the game, but there's not a game in that series that anybody said, "Oh, the Knicks are going to lose this game." I mean, they're down 29 at the half. You think that game's over? Every game was double digits at the half. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I can't say they dominated.
No, you know what, Tom? I wouldn't say that they dominated, but I wouldn't say that they were bad either. They ended up winning the game. They did what they had to do.
Absolutely.
I kind of agree with you that San Antonio just kind of lost their handle on things. But they also proved that they didn't make adjustments because it happened. The same thing happened every game, and they didn't make adjustments to compensate.
Yeah. Frank Catalano, I actually do. I looked it up. I have the NFL supplemental draft rules in front of me. We're going to talk about Brandon Sorsby and his situation in a minute. But let me get my dad on. Let's talk a little more basketball, and then we're going to switch over and do a little supplemental draft. We'll talk about the San Francisco Giants and their some of their players, I guess, protesting Pride Night. I got a couple other things to get to. We'll do a lot of Knicks stuff tonight. I got more to talk about the Spurs. Hang in there. You're talking with Jeff and Tom here at Hard Rock and Sports. But let me get my pops on, see what he's got to say about the Knicks. And then the Knicks, once the Spurs beat OKC, I knew we had it. OKC doesn't. Yeah, Matt, I agree. I wanted the Spurs myself. I didn't realize, because I really haven't watched him, how dominant Wembanyama can be. And we'll get more to him if you hang in there a few minutes. I got a lot to say about the guy. But that series could easily went the other way if that guy was in shape, wasn't dirty, and had a little more support later on in the game. But hang in there, guys. And Sharon, yes, I do love Jeff's hand creeping in there to press buttons. It's funny. It's like the giant.
I'm using a fucking iPad. What can I tell you? My computer retired on me.
What's up, Pop?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up there, Mr. Florio?
Good, Dad. What's going on? What's on your mind?
I agree with you were saying, Tom, about that center. When they're tired, when they bring a center in to shoot 3-point plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had no legs.
Yeah, they had nothing left. The fourth quarter, their shooting fell off tremendously in the third and fourth quarter because they were so tired and run out that there was nothing left.
And as far as I was listening today, they were claiming everybody has an opinion. Ewing, the best Knick ever.
Okay.
Can't be.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree. If anybody's going to have a top 5 New York Knicks, Walt Frazier has to be that guy. I'm a Ewing guy. I never saw Frazier, but when you look at 2 championships, how great a player he was offensively and defensively, to me, there is nobody at the top of the list beside him. Now you can go Ewing second. We can have a conversation who goes from there. But Patrick Ewing can't be the greatest Knick of all time. It's just a little shade below. It's just a shade below.
It's tough. It's the 69 Knicks to me, was the team.
Mm-hmm.
They had 5 guys. They were great.
Right. Yeah, and it's hard to compare eras. But when you look at that and in the amount of Hall of Famers on that team as compared to this team, I would think, again, I think that team may have been individually much, much better. They could have been even a greater collective team. But when you look at what this team did and the run it made and the way they won games, it's going to be hard to compare. Listen, you can put 1A, and I'm not going to argue with anybody. You saw both. You know better than I do. I didn't see 69 and 73, but this was an amazing run as probably we'll never see again.
Well, the 69 team was built around defense. that was that whole scheme. Mm-hmm. Defense. There was nobody there. The only one that was a real, you would say, shooter was Bradley.
Yeah.
Will Bradley.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Alan, I'm not sure I agree with you. I don't. You think Ewing is the most underappreciated Knick? I got to tell you, I'm not sure about that. I think the most underappreciated Knick is Bernard King. I think Bernard King was a great Knick. Problem was it wasn't long enough. But Bernard King for 3 or 4 years might have been the second or third best basketball player in the NBA. And if he had played on better Knick teams, if he had stayed healthy and they got Ewing, the Knicks would have won a world championship. You and I would have went to the Garden back in the day and watched them win a championship because we could have afforded.
But dude, you could that may be true, but I mean, Ewing did it for a very long time too.
Yeah,
and he was the main focus of the team.
Absolutely.
And with just a little bit more help, he could have. It was like him versus Jordan and Pippen. He didn't have anybody in his corner, man.
Absolutely, 100%. If Patrick Ewing had a second, if he had his Scottie Pippen or his Kyrie Irving or whoever you want to put as a second fiddle, they win a championship along the way. John Starks just wasn't that guy in '94, and in '99 Ewing was hurt, and that team needed Ewing healthy, and maybe 5 years younger, and they might have won. But I don't think I can say Ewing was underappreciated. I think most Knick fans our age think he's the best Knick of all time. I think when you get to be my dad and you say I saw those guys in '73, it's hard to not put Clyde Frazier up on top. Yeah, he did get screwed by Jordan, and that's that, and true. But the fact is, Jordan was the best player, and when he stepped on the court, the Knicks didn't have anybody to slow him down, and Ewing just wasn't Michael Jordan. He wasn't on that level. Not that anybody else was then, but that's why he won every year. It felt like,
Jordan had a support cast. Ewing didn't have the support cast that Jordan had. You
I
know,
agree.
the Pistons had Isaiah Thomas and a whole bunch of guys over there. Reggie Miller was great, but Reggie Miller didn't win no championships either. He didn't have much of a support cast either.
I agree. Listen, I understand that, basketball, while it's kind of an individual sport, a lot of people consider it's a team game, and you need that second guy when you're having the night, or when everything's on you. I mean, Ewing was a great player. There's no doubt about it. He was one of my favorite players of all time. I mean, and he just didn't have that support system where if he couldn't be the guy, he didn't have it. There wasn't that player. And again, had Bernard King not blew out his knee, had they played together, there's a good chance that's the guy, that's the tandem. I mean, I can't see anybody beating them. Bernard King was one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen. I mean, almost unstoppable. So with Ewing, that'd have been a nice conversation.
Nice to debate.
Yeah,
with the Knicks this year.
Yeah, listen,
who was better?
Yeah.
So you're just saying, well, maybe next year.
Listen, again, we may never see this again. It's really hard to do this again. Again, this Knicks team is not the most talented, so you need this team to play the way they did. And that's a tough thing to do. I mean, to have this W, Jeff, it wasn't easy. This isn't the Yankees of the mid '90s or some of these other dominant teams where you think, okay, they got the best players, they're going to continue to win. This isn't that. These Knicks players, their best player in Brunson has a ton of flaws in his game. I take him over a lot of guys. There's a ton of flaws, and they need to play perfect basketball in order to win. And that's the bottom line. So for me.
Well, like I said, he has the trophy right now in his house.
Absolutely.
He's getting fitted for a ring. So whatever it is you say about him, the whole team came together and did what they had to do. And the bottom line is they cashed in and did what needed to be done. So, what more could be said?
No, I'll give again back to Allen. I'll give props to Coach Brown. He did a fantastic job with this team, and I'm going to give props to Mr. Dolan. I saw his speech before the playoffs, and I heard his speech at the thing. And I think most Knicks fans probably didn't like Jim Dolan until this year. I know I didn't. And having heard him talk, especially the night when he apologized to the fans for all the losing, I'll give the man credit. I think he's done a great job turning this team over and getting it to this point. They've made great decisions. Props to the Knicks. This was a special moment, and I hope most everybody takes it in. This stuff, this kind of playoff run doesn't happen every day. Let's hope for another one next year, Jeff. We'll see, Dad. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's too early. I already heard people talking about next year and free agents. Guys, let's get through. Yeah.
Let you guys go.
All right,
Enjoy
Pop.
yourself. See you Saturday, Tom.
Yep, I'll see you on Saturday, Pop.
Okay.
Be good. Support him. See you later, man. Be good.
Okay, I have to say something. I don't know why my father was shirtless. I'm not sure.
That was disturbing. That was just absolutely disturbing.
Hoping he had pants on. I do.
I was secretly hoping that he didn't, and that he stood up, inadvertently stood up, and just like, Mom, my back hurts, I got to stand up, and there's little Rich hanging out.
I can just tell you, I saw him on his shadow in the waiting room, and I'm going, I think he's shirtless. I don't know if I want to put him on the show, but I said I got no choice. So yeah. I just thought that was a little frightening. I'm gonna have to ask him private. Dad, why was the shirt? No, why were you shirtless on the show? There's got to be a dress code, Jeff. There's got to be a dress code on the Hard Rock
Well,
Sports Show.
listen, I hear you, but he gets the horrors of when I was younger and would be at your house and he'd have the denim shorts on with no shirt on, and he'd come in the room and you're like, just sit there, like, gotta be quiet, as Mr. Florio. And now I gotta relive this shit when I'm like older than he was at that point in time, and I don't need this.
Yeah, it's you're on some flashbacks, Jeff. It's PTSD all over again, Jeff.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Anyway, Frank,
it's the mind games them older people could play, just one thing, and then next thing you know, like, holy shit, what's going on here?
So Frankie asked about, I want to get back to the Knicks and Wembanyama, but they asked Frank, what is the supplemental, Jeff? Is somewhere around July 16th. It's a lottery. The NFL will conduct a lottery to determine the supplemental draft order, but it really more like 3 separate lotteries in which the worst teams are guaranteed to get the higher picks. So as the team with the first overall pick in the 26th NFL draft, the Raiders will get their name in the lottery 32 times. Then the Jets with the second overall pick will get 31 times, and so on. The defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks will get their name in the lottery 1 time.
Now, let me ask you something, just for those that don't know, and not because I don't know.
Okay.
The supplemental draft hasn't been held in a very long time. Do you have to? Is every team in the supplemental draft? Because you have to give up something in order to make the pick.
Right.
And if you say that you're going to give up your second round pick, when the draft comes, you look that this is your second round pick.
Correct. That is correct. So, so there's actually 3 separate, but the Raiders, Seahawks won't be in the Raiders and Seahawks won't be in the same lottery. Instead, the Raiders, Jets, and 8 other teams that won 6 or fewer games last season will have their names in one container, and the drawing will be conducted only among those teams to determine the top 10 teams in the supplemental draft. Then a second drawing will take place among the 8 teams that won at least 7 games but missed the playoffs, and those teams will be ordered 11 through 17 after those teams that won 7 games. Finally, a third drawing will take place among the 14 playoff teams to determine the rest of the order. Teams bid on a player by submitting to the league which pick they will be willing to give up in next year's draft for that player. So a team that selects a player in the supplemental draft must forfeit that specific selection in the same round in next year's draft. So if the Jets want a player, they'll say, I want so-and-so in the 4th round or the 2nd round, and then they may or may not get that player depending on what other teams bid. So you have to. So
yeah, it's a blind bid too. So
correct, yes.
You don't know what the other team bids, I guess, until a winner is announced, and I guess they say, well, this is why you lost.
Yes. So the last time the league had one was in 2023, and that year no player was picked. The last player to get picked was Jalen Thompson, a safety from Washington State who went to the Cardinals with a 5th round pick in 2019 supplemental draft. So there have been some players who have come out of that. Former Ohio State quarterback Terrell Pryor went to the Raiders with the 3rd round pick in the 2000 NFL draft. In this case, notable, he decided to apply a 5-game suspension, blah, 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 blah. Another ones are longtime Bernie Kosar and Brian Bosworth were all supplemental draft players. So this year there is a guy at the moment. There might be a draft with this kid Sorsby from Texas Tech. We're going to talk about him a little bit. I do want to let this marinate. Mike Brown coached a better finals for the Knicks than the great Pat Riley did. That is correct, Alan. Yes, Pat Riley never came off of John Starks. Now, whether that's foolish or he had confidence in him, when he had the chance to go other places, and that team had some great players on its bench. I want to say Derek Harper was on that bench. I think Mo Cheeks was on the bench there. There were some other players, and when Starks was 3 for 20, there was an opportunity to make some moves and do something different. So I would agree with you. Pat Riley got outcoached himself in that series. And Mike Brown, listen, he's got a pennant on the wall. He is never going to be Pat Riley, but as far as Knick head coaches go, he's moved up in the pantheon of Knick coaches, right behind Red Holtzman, because he's got one. So Jeff, I do want to talk a little bit more about the Knicks, and I want to just switch over a little bit to the Spurs. And again, knowing that you didn't see it, but the big stories coming out of that was their 7'4", 7'5" center Victor Wembanyama. That's it. And not only is he a 22-year-old, basically going to be the face of the league, he's a very dirty player. And one of the things that I didn't like, and you can be dirty, Jeff, in the sense of you can be physical, throw some arms around, throw the body around, give a hard foul, and that's okay. But he went physically out of his way to injure other players. I was talking to you about one with OG, and he was setting a pick, and he went after his leg. At least the camera angle shows it that way, where he tried to take out OG's knee, and he missed. And I wonder this, Jeff. It's bad enough for guys like us fans who are going to hate him for the rest of his career, no matter what happens. For what he punched Brunson in the head and threw Alvarado to the ground and tried to take out OG. Knicks fans will hate him forever. Yes, Bill Laimbeer is a perfect example. I wonder if his peers, Jeff, the guys who played in the league, other teams watch that and think, hey, we got to teach this kid a lesson. And I think the one thing, if you're a player in this league and the fans hate you, it's okay. But when the other players hate you, it's never a good thing. Would you agree with that?
No, of course not, because while you're out there playing your game, as a lot of people don't like to see the game played that way. Yeah. And, how do you know somebody's not gunning for you? Mm-hmm. Maybe one day you're going to go up for a fucking rebound. They'll help you down in a hurry.
Yeah.
Listen, maybe one day you step wrong. I remember playing basketball at PS13, and I went up for a rebound. Not that I was in that league, of course, but my leg came down on somebody else's head, and I almost broke my fucking, I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I remember not playing basketball the rest of that year because my fucking ankle was like 3 times the size of what it was before. And, shit happens. And when these guys, you're hurting a multi-million-dollar fucking player and a team's chances, you're going to be fair game. Anything could end up happening.
Yeah.
So, you got to be smart. You can't be doing stupid shit. There's going to be retribution waiting for you, man. That's all there is to that.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to try that, man.
Now, I'll tell you, as a sports fan, I don't watch a lot of regular season basketball. First off, my cable system does not carry MSG, so I don't get to watch Knicks and Rangers unless they're national. When they are, I'll throw them on and watch the games. I don't particularly like the way the game's played nowadays with all the threes. Once when he's having a signature move, he will go late to games. He will be Sabo. I hate to say it, but yeah, Alan, you're 100% correct. He will be a dominant player. There is no doubt about it. He's 22 years old. He's never faced adversity before. He's probably won everywhere else he's ever been, and he will get that team. Dylan Harper and Castle. That's going to be a team 2-3 years from now with a couple of veterans and a little more. That's going to be a very tough team. I think I agree 100%. But if you're Wembanyama, all that's great and all that. But if you're going to go out there and hurt other players intentionally, guys around the league will find a way to cut your legs out from underneath you. And
without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Beyond being a dirt again. I lived through the dirty players of the Draymond Greens, of the Bill Laimbeers you guys mentioned. All of that's true. The Pistons of the 90s were brutally dirty. This guy is out to hurt people. And I'm telling you, the guys in the league eventually won't put up with that. And the league can only protect him so much. But if you think people are going to accept that, now, will he be a great player? Yes. He better gain about 30 pounds, and he better learn to put his back to the basket a little bit, because he's not going to live at the 3-point line. But as a rim defender, I've never seen anybody better. I've never seen anybody be that far from the rim, Steven, and get back and alter shots, whether he blocked them or not. This guy was blocking threes from the corner. He was 3 steps, and he was from the foul line to the basket, and he was challenging, and he made the Knicks alter shots, alter their path to the basket. I've never seen anything like that, honestly. I mean, I've never seen that. As I've seen some great defensive players, Olajuwon and Ewing and some of those guys were great rim protectors. This guy is the best rim protector I've ever seen. That team is going to be trouble. They need veterans, and their coach has got to get better. And he might. But I would say right now they're a year or two away from that. He might be. I think he's even dirtier than Wemby. Than Draymond Green. He's dirtier. I didn't like to see it. Now, I also didn't like the fact that he didn't come out for the national anthem. He stayed in the locker room till after the national anthem.
Fucking guys.
I did not like the fact the way he handled himself at a press conference, and I didn't like the fact that all of the Spurs, when that game was over, ran off the court. The only one, Brunson, didn't even celebrate with his team. Went right over to their coach, gave him a hug, and consoled him, congratulated him on their season. And every one of them walked off, and that's not the lesson they'll learn in the future. And I get it; it ain't easy to lose, and especially on your home court. But that's a team that has a lot of growing up to do, and they'll get there, Jeff. But you can't act that way and be the villain, and then when you lose, go run and hide. That's just a bad look all the way around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Again, Alan, that guy is. I've never seen a better rim protector in my life. Just never seen it. Never seen it. And he may be a force someday. But he better do a lot of cardio, gain a couple of pounds. They got to get some help for him. The problem is they play with 4 guards and him. They need another big man on the court, another OG type kind of guy who can take some of the pressure off of him, maybe play the other team's big man and let him roam a little bit. They will be a tough team to beat in a couple of years if they keep that team together and stay healthy. We'll get to the refs. This was the worst refereed series I've ever seen. I've never seen phantom calls. How he didn't get the flagrant the next day for punching Brunson, I never heard what the excuse was, but that was the worst non-call I've ever seen. Jeff, did you see that eventually? The punch to Brunson's head by Wemby. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that at all.
They didn't even call a foul. So after the game, the referees go back. I guess the league goes back and reviews the game tape to see if anything was missed, and they showed it. And it was just basically him, not so much punching, but pushing Brunson in the head and knocking him to the floor. And it should have been a flagrant foul. And with flagrant fouls, if you get a flagrant 1, it's 1 point. If you get a flagrant 2, it's 2 points. If you add up to 4 points, you get thrown out of the game and you get suspended for the next game. So he had 2 points from the previous series. My nephew's name, Draymond Green, is perfect to play with Wemby. Yeah. Coming out of the national. Yeah, Steven, to me, I have this problem with anybody who doesn't realize that you live, whatever side of the aisle you work on, who cares? At the end of the day, you should be proud that you live in this country and have the freedoms and the abilities that you do when you live here, and especially athletes who are making millions of dollars to play a game that we all have spent our lives longing to play as long as we possibly can and enjoy playing, and you're a millionaire. Some of these guys are getting into the billions with guys like Jordan. And the fact that this guy has come over from his, I don't even going to use the word country, in France, and doesn't have the respect here for our country and our flag. If I wouldn't let him play. To me, they should hope I never become commissioner, because if I was a commissioner of any of these leagues and you didn't stand and put your hand over your heart for the anthem, you'd be kicked out of this league, and I'd get you out of this country if I could, because this is a privilege to do this, what you do. It's a privilege for that guy to be here doing what he does. And the fact that he doesn't respect that fact bothers the crap out of me. But that's That's neither here. I'm talking about the Jets or the World Cup. Yeah. Again, it is what it is, Frank. This is the conversation. Why did they throw out the first? Why did he throw out the first ball at the Yankee game? Who did? Wembanyama? I didn't see that. I saw Brunson and Hart throw out the first ball at a Yankee game. I didn't see Wemby do it. Anyway, so it was a great series, Jeff, and it's once in a lifetime. The city's enjoyed it. It's been a magic carpet ride of things going on right now, and I think people should stop trying to worry about next year. People should stop worrying about comparing this team to other teams, and just enjoy the crap out of it. You there, Jeff?
I'm here. I'm just
okay. I was waiting for a comment back, but okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see if I get anything else that I didn't get on my sheet here. Okay, so we'll move on from the Knicks.
Thank God! Thank you, fucking God.
Well, what do you want to talk about? It's the
anything else? We spent an hour on basketball games that we didn't even watch. We need to get on to the next subject.
Don't say we didn't watch. You didn't watch. Everybody else on this watched the Knicks play. You might be the only guy in the city who didn't watch the Knicks play. We watched.
It's not that fucking important, man. Even Frank Catalano wants to talk about something different.
I watched every minute of every. Listen.
Let's get on to the next subject, please. Let's leave this behind. Okay. We're looking forward to 26, 27. It's over now. It's over. Just like that, the season's over.
It's not that over yet. I might have still more stuff to talk about. I'm trying to see if I get everything off my list. Again, Hard Rocket Sports at Chef, and I'm Tom. I watch basketball games. Jeff doesn't. And you're here talking about basketball. But now I think we might be officially done with that. Hold
on, Alan. It's not that I hate basketball. It's just that how much more are we going to talk about it? There's plenty other shit to talk about.
I will finish it up with one thing. I am happy to hear that the Knicks are going to the White House. I think it's completely disrespectful when teams don't go, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. I think it's great. I think it's great that they take that opportunity to go to the White House and get their picture taken. I think it's fantastic. So good job by the Knicks and James Dolan. And
this is like the first basketball team that's going to the White House in a number of years, I've read.
No, that's what it said, but it's not true. In 24, one of the teams went there for this is the first time under Trump, this one or the first one. Nobody's gone, but they went in 24. Whoever won that year, the year before, they went there. And in 19, I think, no, not 19. There's been a couple, but the last one was in 24. But no team has gone. No team in the NBA has gone to the White House while Trump was president. So
absolutely fucking amazing. You know something? You don't have to like the guy, but it's a privilege to be able to go there and get your picture taken in the White House. Whatever.
Hey, listen, if somebody would have said, "Hey, Tom, do you want to go to the White House and take a picture with Joe Biden?" I would have done it gladly. I mean, I might have turned it into a Weekend at Bernie's moment, but I would have did it. I would have gone there and got my picture taken with the President of the United States. I mean, that to me is an honor. I mean, so anybody in that position should do that.
Exactly. Yeah. We've talked about this before, and it's just amazing how some of these fucking animals, and I'm just talking across the board. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. You don't want to be there for whatever reason. You may never get there again.
Yeah, exactly.
You may never get there ever again, and especially for the reason you're going there. You're going there as a world champion. You may never have that opportunity again.
100%. And let's segue right now. So you want to get out of basketball? Let's talk UFC. I'm not a UFC
before
fan.
We talk UFC, I just want to check. Hold on one thing. All right, no, I can't say it. Can't say it. I didn't want to say, say, so like somebody like Bo Nix. He may never get there. Like Terrell Davis. What was his name? Davis. Yeah, his jacket may be too small now. Maybe put on a little weight and is over.
Frankie, I didn't start this, Frankie. I'm not going in there. I'm not going that direction.
I had to fire back because he said about the Jets. I'm sorry. I'm done now. I'm not going to say anything. Right.
So we're talking about the White House, and I don't get the uproar over this UFC fight at the White House. listen, I think it was a tremendous event. I'm not a UFC fan. I've never watched any more than 2 seconds of a UFC fight. Just not my thing. But
Yeah, I hear you.
to me, anytime you can combine patriotism, sports, the White House, I think it was a tremendous event. I don't get the negativity over it. If Biden had done it or Obama had done it, I don't know if you would have the same backlash from conservatives, but it doesn't matter. I just wish people would just shut up and enjoy it. There's a lot of people who went there. I saw Jack Osborne, who's no, fan of the Republicans. He went, enjoyed it, said it was great, and he got backlash for it. Just go out there and again, just enjoy the moment. Stop with all this negativity.
I'm glad you mentioned this, but I'm going to get negative about this for a reason, and not for the same reason everybody else is getting negative about it.
Yeah,
I feel as though that UFC, and maybe I'm wrong, so maybe you could point me in the right direction if you want. But I feel as though that UFC and the rise of UFC kind of took away from especially the heavyweight division in boxing. I probably could not give you the name of one boxer other than Tyson Fury, if he's even still fighting. I don't know any boxers right now because I think UFC and MMA get so much attention that it's taken away from what boxing once was. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand boxing was kind of on a decline for a long time. And without a super heavyweight contender and a champion, it probably takes away from boxing even more. But wouldn't you want to see boxing become somewhat relevant again? Like,
yes.
Just
100%.
Let's see the sport come back a little bit. I think it's so far gone that nobody's going to give a shit about it.
Well, I think boxing hit a point in the early 2000s where there was so many controversial bad decisions that people started. And that was for me. I stopped watching it. I saw that
Yeah, I hear that, Anthony.
Yeah. I watched Camacho and Boom Boom Mancini fight, and he got robbed. I watched Pernell Whitaker and Taylor fight, and I can't get the guy's name now, but there were so many bad decisions that I stopped watching boxing, and I think that's one. But I think Jeff, you touched on it. It's the name recognition. We grew up with Foreman and Ali and Frazier. They were not only great boxers, but they were cultural icons. Everybody knew who the heavyweight champion of the world was.
Yes.
Now, I couldn't tell you two boxers, let alone who the heavyweight champion of the world is.
Go back just a few seconds to what you said when you said about the bad decisions. Okay, those were all household names. Everybody knew those names. Sweet Pea Whitaker, Hector Camacho. These were names. Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, all of these boxers that were on the top of their divisions. Again, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. All these names at the time that you knew who they were, and you knew what they were. Were they good? Were they bad? Did they suck? Were they going for a championship? Now, like you said, you don't know who they are, and there's nobody on the forefront of boxing, and it's almost become like you never hear anybody say, "Hey, did you see that boxing last night?" So now you're talking about the MMA and MMA and UFC, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But the thing is their careers will never span as long as some of these other guys' careers did in boxing because they don't have the shelf life for it.
Yeah.
Some of these guys have 4 or 5 fights. 6, 7 fight, whatever it may be, and they're not the draw that they once were, and some of them are young men that they if it was boxing, maybe they would keep going, but it's just a different sport, a way different thing now, man. I wish boxing was the same.
I'll tell you where the change in boxing is, and it became with the pay-per-view because growing up in the 80s, Mike Tyson was on Channel 7 once a month boxing. You saw these guys fight on ABC. You saw
HBO, Saturday night, HBO.
But you can watch so the recognition now. Tell me the last time you turned on a regular channel and saw a boxing match. Everything is pay-per-view, even the UFC.
Yeah, but Tom, you don't want to know something? All sports is like that. Football may be the last bastion.
I got you. I understand that, but I'm saying is the reason why we knew all these guys. I got to see Mike Tyson and and some of these guys from their infancy because they fought on TV once a month, and now you don't. So now, am I paying $60 to watch a fight? I have no idea who's fighting. So, and I get Steve. I get that there's great. I've heard of Deontay Wilder. I've heard of Tyson Fury. The rest of those guys.
Oh no. Listen, all he did was mention names. Are these guys great? Would they hold a candle to what they once were boxing? I don't know. I don't know them, but I mean,
that's the point. That's the point. If those guys were on TV on a Saturday afternoon, back again, a lot of that stuff's gone. The ABC's Wild World of Sports is gone.
But you didn't need you. While that was true at the time, there was no cable, there was no pay-per-view, there was no nothing.
Right.
Nowadays, it's all. I mean, you can't even watch certain football games because they're on Amazon.
I agree with you.
Everything is going to be is fractured, and everybody wants a little piece of the action. And it's a shame that, like in your situation, you say that you want to watch the Rangers and Knicks, and you can't. You can't watch them because your cable provider doesn't provide it. It's like, this is the Rangers, the Knicks. Are you kidding me? And you can't get it on. So boxing, how unimportant is boxing nowadays compared to so many other sports? You can't even get the Yankees. The Yankees on regular TV. They used to, remember, every game used to be on Channel 11.
Sure.
Every game. Now nothing.
I get it, but that's my point. And Steve, my point of it is, see, nowadays there's so many other options. You can, back when we were kids, you had 3 channels. There was no internet. There was no, so when you did watch TV, and when you were home, there was less things in the way. You didn't have all the things in the way that you do today. So for me, growing up, you came home on a Saturday afternoon, you threw on the TV, and the only sports were on. But you maybe had a Met game or Yankee game, but you had ABC Wild World of Sports, and there was always somebody fighting, and they were always in the paper. They were always on TV. They were personalities. Nowadays, it's different. I'm not saying that it's better then or now. I'm just saying I think those sports have taken a huge backseat because their visibility isn't the same as it was. UFC is huge. It's huge.
If you remember watching Wide World of Sports, they would have a couple different
Frank
things going on.
You got to poke me. He told me to talk about anything else. I'm talking about boxing, and now he wants to go back to the Knicks.
He's being a dick. You remember watching Wide World of Sports? Sometimes they'd have the canoeing championship on, and a boxing match, and then ski jumping, and followed by like fucking drag racing or something like that, if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Now, I mean, God, Wide World of Sports has been off the air for God knows how long.
Dude, you could turn on ESPN on any day, especially on the weekends, and you'll find all these obscure sports. I found one, they were tossing plastic cows or bulls. It was a sport. They tossed them in the ring, and they wiffle ball.
I saw kickball. They actually had a kickball game.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, I saw on one of the sports channels. I don't think it was ESPN, but it was some kind of fucking kickball.
Yeah. Again, I would love to see boxing become a forefront sport again. I mean, it was growing up. It was so many great memories of watching guys, in their prime, later in their career, watching transitions from Ali to Holmes, from Holmes to Tyson. There was no bigger moment. When I was in Florida as a kid with Alan's brother Nam and some of our other friends, and it was the same time as the Michael Spinks Tyson fight, and we found a way over there to see the fight. And we went to some place and we watched the fight. That's the difference in.
Yeah, but you knew who was fighting. When was the last?
Yeah,
when was the last heavyweight boxing championship fight?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Steve, I got you. You're not. But my point was, you were able. Like, there used to be every Sunday or a lot of Sundays, and especially in the summer, you would have team boxing, like the Cuban national.
I know, but you didn't answer my question.
Which was what?
When was the last heavyweight boxing championship match?
Oh, I have no idea.
Exactly. That's part of the problem, because you don't even know who the heavyweight champ is right now. I don't either. So it's not that I'm, making you look stupid. It just nobody knows. It's not important. It doesn't hold the same
Yeah.
weight, and that's the shame of it. And whether it was bad decisions and everything else that led up to it, it's like nobody cares about boxing
Yeah,
anymore.
it's a shame, and I think it's some of it is there's so many things out there. I think UFC has replaced it. It's more exciting to a lot of people. Again, I just never caught my attention. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that those guys are tremendous athletes and tough as nails. I mean, God, the way that some of these guys get their heads handed to them and come back and win, it's just never something that's ever caught my attention. But yeah, I do miss the days of flipping on TV and seeing the next great fighter before he's the next great fighter and watching their careers just on a random Saturday,
A boxer had a shelf life years ago, and it was a long shelf life at
yeah,
that. Because they only fought once or twice a year. A lot of
yeah,
these UFC and MMA guys, they fight several times a year, and they don't go that long between fights. Maybe a few months. But nowadays, it ain't like, they would fight in January and then maybe again in August, but they
yeah.
don't fight like that no more.
Yeah, Matt, I do not recognize that any further in my life. There's those days were all old. I don't remember too many of those days anymore. Maybe, yeah, I maybe you're right, Stephen. But I think it was more prominent. Like you almost didn't have a choice back in the day. Like, it was all over the newspaper. When was the last time a fight was on the back page of the Post or the News? When was the last time there was a fight that was all over TV? The results of a fight, or they so and so was out on the town. He was at
when Tyson came back for his comeback fight a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when the biggest fight of the last decade is Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, it's just But again, I'm not saying there's not good fighters out there. I'm just saying that it's not as relevant as it once was, and it's a shame because the heavyweight boxer was probably the most prestigious title in sports for a very long time. So,
once they started making different, WBC, WBA,
yeah, that hurt too.
WBO. Now there's how many different divisions?
It watered it down. I want to get on to a couple other things. I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to pull a maneuver here, and then we'll get into Brandon Sorsby and his. We talked about the supplemental draft, and he's Texas Tech quarterback who's basically being run out of the NCAA and is considering moving to the NFL now. And we'll talk to him about. But Jeff, every day I turn on, I log into my computer for work, and I see the same thing. It's some celebrity giving their favorite sandwich. It's usually a 3-ingredient sandwich. I'm not going to get that. But Jeff, if you're home or you're out and you want to have the Jeff Tolwinski sandwich, what is the go-to sandwich for Jeff?
Oh, man, God, I hate having sandwiches now, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick something, probably prosciutto,
fresh mozz,
provolone, sometimes fresh mozzarella. I like it with provolone and
Okay.
a little mayonnaise, maybe some roasted peppers.
Okay.
But it's got to be that real dark prosciutto.
The Parma.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I am more. I don't put mayo on it, but I do go prosciutto, fresh mozzarella, and roasted peppers is the go-to sandwich. If I could have one sandwich every day, that would be the one. I don't eat it every day. I haven't had it in years.
I put mayonnaise on it. If it has bread, it's got mayonnaise on it.
I am a fan of mayo. There's no doubt. I have put mayo on my prosciutto and gotten ridiculed by other Italians. So
you end up ruining it, man. You end up ruining it by putting mayonnaise on it. But it needs if it has bread, it's dry. It needs mayonnaise. That's just how it is.
Matt, I will tell you, I could tell everybody that story, exactly why that fight happened. I was there. I was a participant in the Midland Beach parking lot. I will not. I will go to the grave with that story. It is one of the funniest stories I can ever tell you. And it was the first time I ever got to a fight alongside Dominic. It wasn't the last, but it was the first. And It was Dom, his Monty, and a spider wrench is all part of the. But anyway, guys, if you know what you tell me, some people are grilled cheese. Some people, the most interesting one, and it's one that I didn't realize as a kid why my father we used to have this sandwich. But when I was a kid, we would have mayo, tomato, and salt sandwiches on white bread. And never knew why. My dad, it's a great sandwich. That's all we had.
There was no cold cuts.
There was no cold. It was a Thursday night or Thursday afternoon. I'd come home from school, and that would be my lunch. And I used to have this when I was a kid, and I realized my dad was dirt poor. So tomatoes were cheap. They grow them in the backyard, and they get a loaf of bread from somewhere, and that was lunch on many a day in my youth. So he worshipped that car. One Halloween, they threatened the entire Sickies not to go. Oh, yeah, listen. Yeah, I would tell you, there was a lot of threatening of the Sickies back in the day for a few reasons, and Dominic's car was definitely one of them. I will tell you, pound for pound, this is not because Steven and Alan here. Pound for pound, the toughest fighter I ever saw was Dominic. There's not a lot of guys I wouldn't get in the middle with. Dominic was the guy you did not want to mess with in our neighborhood. He was either your best friend or your worst nightmare, and did not want to fight with Dom because he didn't care. Yeah, he didn't. He had the I don't care switch, and when it kicked, you wanted to be nowhere near it. So just from a guy who was next to him in a few of those fights, I'll tell you, it was interesting times. Anyway, let's see. When you go through hell and not realize your family's very poor. Yeah, no. Listen, Anthony, my parents did a great job, and at the time I had no idea we were poor. But yeah, there was.
I'm going to go out on a limb, all right, because we were evidently all in the same boat.
Sure.
Our fathers were too lazy to go out and get a second job. They didn't care if we ate tomato sandwiches.
I would tell you're probably right.
They came home, put us to bed at 6 o'clock on a sunny summer night, and hung out with mom the rest of the night. And then next thing you know, we're having another brother, another sister.
Yeah, I would tell you ain't shitting, boy. You ain't shitting. Yes, Chris, happy Juneteenth to you and everybody else. Rocket Sports, thanks for hanging. Yeah, so listen,
well, it's actually Juneteenth Eve.
That's true. That is a different one. Juneteenth Eve. Again, to all of you guys out there, and to those dads who aren't with us anymore, happy Father's Day to everybody. This Sunday, I hope you guys have a great Father's Day. And to those dads who aren't here anymore, we'll say a little prayer for you guys, but you'll always be in our hearts. Lots of our friends along the way. But happy Father's Day to all the dads. They made us who we are and where we are today. Well, for good or bad, this is who we are. So happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. Whether your kids have feet or paws or or feathers, if you're a dad, if you're raising something, happy Father's Day to you. So yes, happy non-gestational parent day to all you Democrats. Yes, great job there, Ed. Great job. I do want to talk about this kid, Brandon Sorsby, Jeff, and what you probably don't know about him is a very talented quarterback who's moved around in college and was about to play for Texas Tech. And the problem was he's also a degenerate gambler. And
yeah, I know that. But meanwhile, there's all these gambling sites all over the place. God forbid he fucking bets on it.
Well, here's the thing. So, I mean, there is that trigger that you worry that at some point, is one thing. Matt is a prime example of it. Matt is a degenerate gambler or half a degenerate gambler. He doesn't bet a lot of money, but Matt will bet on who will catch two fat kids catching a fart in Bulgaria. Okay. That's Matt will put a bet on which kid will smell it first. So that's a half a degenerate gambler. This kid is a degenerate gambler who was going to play at Texas Tech, but all the other teams in his league said that they were not going to cancel their games against the school unless they canceled it. Now he's debating moving to the NFL. He was suing the NCAA. All of that stuff goes on. Here's the question that Matt asked me today, Jeff, and I'm going to ask you and everybody else. If you were a team and you had to give up a pick, now let's use your Jets. You have 3 number 1 picks. You certainly wouldn't use a number 1 pick on them. But Jeff, if you're the Jets and you have this bounty of picks, and there's this troubled kid whose upside is tremendous, he's got a lot of skill, he's got the right size. Would you want your Jet team to take a shot, give up a second, third, fourth round pick, and bring a guy like this into camp, knowing that he's one bet away from blowing it all up?
Listen, maybe a fourth round pick I could live with, but nothing higher than that. And listen, name that everybody's forgetting, Art Schlichter. Remember his career went down the shitter.
Yep. Yeah.
So you don't know what's going to happen with this kid, but if you could get him for a fourth round pick, why not?
Yeah, Frank, I think he's actually worse than Schlichter because Schlichter tried to at least hide it. This kid doesn't even try to hide it. I mean, this guy's putting in $90,000 worth of bets. To me,
really? Are you serious?
Yeah,
that kind of bet?
Yeah, he's.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's and I agree. I agree, Steven. I don't think he's going to give it up. So the question becomes: are you a team? To me, Jeff, when you only have 7 picks a year, all right. Well, again, you can grab some trades and you can get awarded a couple extra picks if guys sign your players. But you have 7 picks. To me, they're all precious. So to throw away any pick on a guy who could come in and change your roster and then blow it up in the middle of a season is a gamble. No pun intended.
Well, every single one of those 7 picks is a gamble. But
yes.
To me, and I would look at when was the last time that my team picked somebody worthwhile in the 4th round? So I could give up a 4th round pick knowing that it's probably a waste of time anyway. For the Jets' point of view. So there are people that were picked in the 4th round that turned out to be great players.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. But I'm going by my look as through the Jets' eyes, which are clouded and fucked up as it is.
As it is, yes.
But, if a 4th round pick, and I could get him for a 4th round pick, but even at that, how long is he going to be in the league for? He ain't coming in the first year and he taking anybody to Super Bowl in the first year. And then he may not even get on the field. You never know. And $90,000 picks on bets. My God.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think he doesn't get drafted, and I think that he will be in somebody's camp. The problem I have with it is if you bring this kid in and you let him win a job, and then he's your rookie starter or he starts in the second year, that at some point he's going to slip and get caught and then get suspended. So you've kind of wasted the team's time. We all know when you switch your quarterback, you set your team back a couple of years, no matter who it is. Very rarely do you switch a quarterback and immediately things get better. So to me, I wouldn't bother. But there are a lot of teams who are desperate quarterback needs. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Cardinals.
But you know what? You're right. The Jets are very desperate for a quarterback.
Yes.
But you want to know something? The draft is coming up. Yeah, we're almost a year away from the 2027 draft. But I would rather wait for that than to take a chance on somebody like this, because it's only a matter of time before they find him betting on his own team, his own games. And I just can't take that chance. There's no way that this guy's going to have a 10 to 12 year career that's going to be successful and, without problems or somebody finger pointing at him. I just don't see it.
Alan, I agree with you, except the fact that if you give up that 3rd round pick and he bombs out, again, 3rd round picks, guys you expect to be at least some sort of contributor in years 1 and 2, and then maybe a starter by year 3 or 4. So to me,
but Alan's talking about the Jets once again. Give me the last Jets 3rd round pick that's done anything. I'll wait. I'll wait all week. Give me one Jets 3rd round pick.
Yeah, Frank Catalano, you're right about the Steelers. That's another team. Vikings, Steelers, Dolphins, Jets, Cardinals, right off the bat, are all teams that are desperately in need of a future quarterback. You're
right, and some of the teams that he mentioned know how to develop a quarterback, and that's why they're not always in this fucking problem with a quarterback. Some of these other teams, Jets, Cardinals, and a couple others, have no idea what they're doing. The Browns, and they can't develop a quarterback, and that's why they'll take a stab at anybody in the dark to try to get somebody.
Yeah, I agree. I think somebody will. I don't know if anybody's going to put a bid in on him. I would be surprised. I think he goes and he goes out there and he does the tour and convinces somebody to let him into camp. And I think he gets a job somewhere along the line. I think it's as I would be surprised if it wasn't as an undrafted free agent. Yeah, again, I think he is talented, Alan. I just don't know if the talent
So
outweighs the
let me
risk.
ask you this: you're saying about talent, right? So you give up a third round pick for a backup quarterback. His I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, I don't know if I would bid a pick because again, I think any pick is valuable and precious. I know your point that not every team has great success in the draft, but to throw away one and then give a guy a spot and then have to replace him on that roster, I think it's too much of a gamble. I don't think he's that talented where I would do that. But just wanted to put it out to see what everybody thought. I don't think he will be picked. I don't agree. I think he will be picked. Okay, Frank, it's possible. Again, it doesn't happen very often, and there's probably been more talented players. But again, this is a very quarterback-driven league still. Even though I think it's starting to flip toward the running back a little bit, but I do think there is a need for quarterbacks, especially backups. There are no great backups in this league. And there's a lot of starters who are very questionable, top to bottom. So
you say backups in this league. There's a need for starters in this league.
Yes, I agree.
Never mind backups. There's a lot of starters that you're going to be like, really? These guys are going into the season with this guy as a fucking quarterback?
Yeah, no. I couldn't agree with you more on that one. I do agree with you. There's a need for quarterbacks. So I do think
this reminds me where we had this conversation many, many times.
Yep.
Over the years. But when we used to talk about the elite quarterbacks 10 years ago, that you had Brady, Manning, Breeze. Would do any of these guys in today's Aaron Rodgers, do any of these guys in today's NFL equate to those players, Roethlisberger, Rivers? Do any of them hold a candle to what we were looking at 10, 15 years ago? I think it's a very short list.
Yeah, it is a very short list. Yeah, it's a very, very short list. So, I think, and again, that's my point. I do think that he gets a job somewhere because of the need for quarterbacks in this league. Somebody will take a shot, and they'll give him all the, you can't have the apps on your phone. You can't, you can't be seen in a casino. They'll do all that. They'll give him a babysitter, all that other stuff. But when you're young, you have a lot of free time and a lot of money. Bad things happen, and that guy is proof of that. So we'll check it. The supplemental draft will be coming up right before camps. I do think the kid does not get drafted. I would be surprised if he wasn't making the rounds, and somebody will give him a chance to come into camp. And like Alan said, be the backup someplace at the very least, and see if
listen, that's all well and good, okay, but the Jets need a starter, not a backup, and I would rather wait until they go into the draft and try to get their quarterback through the draft or see who was out there in free agency, if anybody worthwhile, and build that way. Why take a chance on a possible wild card? Frank Catalano, you say I wouldn't want him on the Jets. Why wouldn't I want him on the Jets? I want to see them. We waited this long, and the gearing everything towards 2027. I would rather wait and see what they can do in 2027 and through the draft, and possibly get their quarterback of the future. Why take a chance on somebody that could maybe he'll never even play a game?
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen with this guy.
100%. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I would not, but I do believe somebody will, and I think that's the difference. I think somebody will, but we'll see.
Definitely, somebody definitely will, because we always talk about it all the time. You never know. Somebody's going to be, well, he's going to be the next one. Look, Brock Osweiler got a massive contract at one point in time. So anybody could get it, and look at just to show you, like in current day, look at the Browns with Deshaun Watson coming back with the possibility of him getting the number one spot in Cleveland. Last year at this time, they were talking I couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Now he may actually be the starter for this year.
Yeah, that is I thought the Steelers had the most dysfunctional quarterback room. I mean, obviously with Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Watson, I want to say Flacco's back, but I might be dead wrong on that.
No, I think Flacco is back. I think, but he's not with Cleveland. I don't think. Wasn't he with Cincinnati? Or he was with Cincinnati. I lost track of where he is.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson's going to get the job up there. It's a question if he stays healthy and off the massage tables.
Well, if he could stay on the massage table, it's just whether he has people to massage his back or his pecker.
Yeah, that's very true. Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom. We're here for a little while longer. I got a couple more topics, and we'll wrap it up for the night. I'm Watson will start 3 games before getting back. Steve, you may be 100% correct. I think I want to say they want Sanders to start, but if they did, they wouldn't have drafted Gabriel before. It makes no sense to me. If you're Cleveland, you probably do want Watson to start. He's got probably the best pedigree so far, although I don't think he'll ever be close to what he was.
No, but you know what will be funny about? Let's say that Watson does start this year.
Yeah.
And let's say that he has a great year. A great year.
Uh-huh.
Do the Browns re-sign him? Could you imagine that?
Yeah. It's a great question, Jeff. I don't know I don't have the answer. Steven, I'm not so sure. I think Shedeur Sanders is an overrated player. I think if he had some humility and had the ability to realize that he's got a lot to learn, I think he might have a chance to be a good quarterback. But I don't think his humility and personality will allow that. I think he already thinks he's a Hall of Famer, and he may prove me wrong on that. But I don't think his personality will allow him to be even a really good player someday. What Manning, Sellers, and these quarterbacks next year will bring the Jets. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know yet on any of these quarterbacks coming out. I think the quarterbacks of today and tomorrow have been ruined a little bit by the way they teach these young kids to play quarterback in the lower levels in high school. They're running no huddle offenses. They don't take snaps under center. They're one quick read, offenses, and that goes from high school through college and into the pros. And when they get there, they're so lacking in their games and the quarterback play that it's really kind of gone way downhill, and people don't realize it anymore. They're not taught to be quarterbacks anymore. They're taught to run the football, be mobile quarterbacks. And I think the evolution of the quarterback will have to start over again someday. I don't know about this new group yet. We'll see this year. I thought Arch was better at the end of the year than he was at the beginning. We'll see. We'll see if
any of these guys that are coming out this year, they it's a 50-50 shot if they're going to even turn into anything. And some of them may end up having great careers. But I don't foresee, if there's 4 of them that come out, I see maybe one having a really awesome career, a second one being good, and then 2 falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
It's not like it once was, man. There's no guarantee.
That's probably the average we've had over the years. Alan, you're 100% right. You were faster than him. Steven, his personality is like his father. Yes. What do the Browns have to? They don't have anything to lose. The problem is, I think the problem with a lot of these quarterbacks is they get rushed into a situation where they're not ready, and it either stunts, or I think that's what happened to Baker. It's what happened to Geno Smith. It's what happened to a lot of these guys is they get rushed to what's the kid, Sam Darnold. They get rushed onto the field too soon when they're not ready. These guys are playing 11 and 12 games in college, and they're coming out and they're immediately hitting the field, and they're not prepared. And now they fail, and now they have to restart, and they're getting their legs under them in year 6 and 7, where if maybe these kids come out and they learn the craft for a couple of years, 2, maybe 3 years, and then get on the field, I think they'd be much better players. But
nobody has that kind of time. Nobody has that kind of time.
I agree with you.
And look, the Jets, they draft a quarterback in 2027. Does anybody want to sit and wait for them to put this guy on the field in 2029, 2020, 2030 and wait that long? I don't have that kind of time, bro. I'm going to be 60 years old. I want to see them do something.
I got you, but then you run the risk of look what's happened to the Jets in the last few years alone. Let's just take 2 guys. I mean, Geno Smith was a horror. right?
Yes,
He was a
he
complete
was.
horror. Then he leaves, goes to the Giants. He sits around for a year or so. Next thing you know, he winds up in a system in Seattle, and he has 2 or 3 good years. Not great, but really good, productive years where he's changed the perception. Look at Sam Darnold. First 3 years with Jets was a complete nightmare. Bounces around, winds up and go for a year or so, learns the game. Next thing you know, the guy is a gunslinger in Minnesota, goes to Seattle, wins a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield, a
But
horror in Cleveland.
that whole thing is Geno Smith. I don't think he's ever won a playoff game. So he had a couple good seasons. He's never won a playoff game. What's his face? Donald. He went and played on Seattle, which was a great team overall before he got there, and he was helped win them a Super Bowl. Let's see what he does this year. Let's see if he has a repeat performance.
I agree with you. All I'm saying is we can't keep rushing these kids onto the field when they're playing. Guys aren't playing 4 years of college football anymore. They're playing.
No, they're not.
They're sitting around for a year or so. They're playing 11, 12 games. There's a definite correlation between playing 2 years of actual football in college and under a year of college and coming to the pros and not being successful. So to me, I'm not saying I know everything. I certainly don't. I'm just saying is, to me, you can't go into the pros where all 11 guys across from you are star players from college. In college, you got 4 or 5 guys who are stars, and the rest of them are good ball players. It's a different game. The game is that much faster at the pro level than it is in college. It's that much more faster. We
all know that, Tom, and that's all well and good. But you want to know something? The fans don't want to hear that. The fans don't want to see that. You got a quarterback that you drafted in the first round. How many other people are drafted in the first round that are able to come onto their team and make a difference and make their team better? People don't want to hear that this kid's got to sit there for 2 or 3 years and learn the game.
That's why your team loses. And again,
I understand that.
But that's why teams lose it. And Jeff, it's a difference between being a running back or a wide receiver or even an offensive lineman, a number 1 pick, than a quarterback. Your read and response needs to be that.
I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is,
the pass you make in college to a wide receiver in the skinny post or even any pass is the windows is a second and more than in the pros. And if you can't make that read fast enough, you're getting picked every time. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, listen, I understand that, but the Giants did something that you're just talking about, which is they started a veteran last year. They had another veteran on the bench, and they went with Jackson Dart. Now, Jackson Dart evidently looks like he has what it takes to play in the NFL. You'll get a better taste of him this year and see what he can do. But they didn't say, well, he ain't coming off the field. He ain't coming off the bench for 3 years. Now, I'm not arguing the fact with you. I'm just telling you that the fan base, we waited for this guy. You went out, you got this guy. Now you're going to hold him for another 2 or 3 years before he comes out and plays. And they don't want to see that. And no team is allowed to develop a program like they used to in the past.
I agree. That's the problem. So again, you can get lucky like the Bills did with Josh Allen or the Chiefs but even Mahomes sat for a year. So again, I'm not telling you that it's the answer to everything. And there may be I didn't want to see Jackson Dart play last year. I said it before the season and all the way up. The last thing I wanted him to see was him play last year. He played pretty well. Hopefully that translates to this year and he continues his growth. But the likelihood of a guy coming off the bench in the middle of his first year or even starting his first year and being successful and doing well is not good anymore. And yes, Steven, both those guys did start for the Jets. I got it. But so did Baker Mayfield start in Cleveland and he bounced around and then he didn't. It wasn't until year 6 or 7 in Tampa that all of a sudden Baker Mayfield is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but I would take a lot of guys.
Is Baker Mayfield one of the better quarterbacks in the league, or is the quarterback play in the league just dropped to the point where Baker Mayfield is one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
Tallest midget in the circus. I get it. You're right. It's way down, and 10 years ago, he'd be number 15 on the list. But in today's NFL, I would take Baker over a lot of guys. If the Giants needed a starting quarterback, and they were looking for a veteran guy, and they said, I can get Baker Mayfield, I would take Baker Mayfield on my team. He's a tough quarterback who's developed a good game. But if we keep rushing these guys onto the field, and I get your point, Jeff, you're right. The fan bases don't want to hear it. You got a number one pick who's a quarterback. You better get his ass out on the field. More than likely, that does not work. And I understand nobody develops quarterbacks, but at some point, somebody's going to step back and say, we're going to let our guys be ready to get on the field when they're ready and not just throw them out there for the hell of it and ruin guys' careers. I'm sorry. There are a lot of guys who probably could have had much better careers had they sat a year.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But you want to know something? Every single guy that goes out on the field for the first year goes through growing pains.
Absolutely.
And it's a matter of, that's the phrase, growing pains. Is he going to grow from the pains he experienced? If he doesn't grow, then it doesn't matter how many years you keep him on the bench. He ain't going to learn. Okay? So some of these guys do survive a trial by fire, and they'll be like, okay, he made it, he got better and everything else. And then there's a lot of them that don't.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know, look at Zach fucking what's his face? Oh man, I don't even know where the fuck he's playing. Zach Wilson. Well, like I don't know. You could put him back in college. He'd probably suck more when he comes out.
Listen,
and how he's still in the league is beyond me.
Well, again, that goes back to the lack of real good quarterback play. That the fact that that's the kind of guy who's hanging around somebody's bench just in case. What? Mike White made a career out of it. You know, there's a lot of guys who are Jacoby Brissett. There's a lot of guys in this league running around this league who 10 years ago probably couldn't have been on the scout team. But
you're right. But there's plenty of them that are in the league right now. Yeah. And here's the bet. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. Okay. If every team has a street quarterbacks, okay, you're talking about 96 quarterbacks in the league. Chances are that these are the top 100 quarterbacks that are in the world right now. And yeah, that could change year after year after year because you don't know what's going to happen. But some of these guys, you know, as bad as they are, they're still better than anybody else that's trying to get into the league at the moment. Because, you know, the NFL, if they thought they would get somebody that could do that much better, they get rid of the next guy in a heartbeat. It's just amazing, man. It really is amazing.
No, Alan, I my only fear with a guy like that is if let's say instead of drafting a quarterback next year in the draft, let's just use Arch Manning, right? Everybody knows who he is. So instead of the Jets drafting a quarterback next year in Arch Manning, they take Sorsby this year, right? And now the Jets go out and they're going to try to develop Sorsby, and he hangs around for a year or two.
So see, now already that's where it's getting fucking cloudy right there.
Why?
All right, it's already getting cloudy because you're using the word develop. The Jets don't develop quarterbacks.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
And the only jackpot that he's going to hit is on FanDuel, and we all know that.
So to me, the problem with that is you spend some time. Now you let quarterbacks who you might have taken, and you pass them up because you think you got your guy. He's developing. He's getting there. He's going to be your guy. You didn't waste a number 1 pick. You took a number 3 pick. You took a number 4 pick. All of a sudden, one day you read the papers, that guy's been betting on games. He got caught. Now he's out of the league. So to me, you have to have that in the back of your brain that you may take this guy. He may turn to be your guy in a year or so. He may be developing. And then year 3, you're ready to make that next step and you pull the legs out from underneath it because you got busted betting on games. And now you got to start all over again. So the problem with a guy like Sorsby is once you take him, if he turns into your guy, now you're on pins and needles because you're passing up other guys. You're not going to bring Arch Manning in if this is your guy. You're not going to waste that number 1 pick. So, you know, and Caleb Williams is going to be is played better than I expected. I have to say I kind of got him wrong, but
this is his 3rd year. Williams' 3rd year is coming up now.
3rd year, I think so. But there's still a lot to prove. I saw a lot of you know. That was a great play.
He made some incredible throws in the playoffs, man.
But let's be honest, that pass in the playoff game should never have been caught. It was a great throw. Back foot throw, no doubt. But yeah, I want to see some more out of that. But
and Alan, as I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I understand what you're saying. But you want to know something? I would rather see Frank Reich develop somebody else that is going to be with the Jets long term. If this kid is having problems now and gambling issues now and he's not in the NFL yet, and he's betting $90,000 games. That's really not somebody that. All right, if you could get him for a fourth round, fourth round pick, all right. But and if he was to work out, that'd be great because then you'd have 3 first-round picks to put around the team. But I don't know. I would rather just draft a better candidate, man.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jeff on this. I think that the risk isn't worth. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward. This isn't a guy who I think is repentant over what he's done. I think it, and also I think the mentality nowadays for most of these players is, well, it's legal. Gambling's legal. This ain't no more about calling some guy named Vito and throwing a $20 bet in. Now you go on FanDuel, you get your girlfriend, your cousin, make the bets for you. It happens every day. Whether it's caught or not, it's very limited. But to me, to give up any pick, and more importantly, put my eggs in his basket, that one day I'm not going to get a call that he's suspended. We all know, again, you lose your quarterback at any point, it sets your franchise back. Very few franchises are going to be able to say, we lost our starter and we're going to be okay tomorrow. It just, there's not enough good ones in the league. So
no.
It's not Alan. I will tell you, I agree with you. Somebody will give him a chance. He will be in somebody's camp this year, and he will get a chance to play. I just don't know if it was my team, I'd be very leery on anything but a backup role until he proved himself for a long time. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see how it plays out. Listen, we're about a month or so, a little bit more than a month away from camps opening up. A lot of different. Still a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks. Looks like the Dolphins are going to have Quinn Ewers. The Jets have Geno Smith. I think it's Jacoby Brissett out in Arizona. Who the hell knows who's starting up in Minnesota?
Tom, keep going. I gotta go take a squirt.
There's a lot of up in the airs. Can Mahomes get back sooner than later? Can they survive? Is the NFL going to help the Chiefs survive? The NFL wants that to happen. We got a lot to get to. The Bears are leaving Chicago. The Chiefs are moving out of Kansas City. They're moving into Kansas. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stuff, and we're going to get to all of that with our show. We'll be celebrating our 12th year on the air. And we open up every new year with the same show. It's the very first show I ever did back in 2014 was my NFL training camp show. So we'll do that as we do every this year. We'll break down all the league. We'll break down all the teams. I know he is, but that doesn't mean he's going to be healthy, Matt. I'm saying that sometimes I think they may be right. I mean, I also see Daniel Jones is going to start. Looks like he's going to be ready for camp. These injuries, the guys are getting back fast enough. You worry. Are they rushing themselves back onto the field too soon just to get on the field? Mahomes, great quarterback, but he needs all his faculties to be great. And he may be rushing himself back on. But listen, if he can get back out there and they can play mediocre football or better than mediocre football until he's healthy, good for him. I just worry about when you all know when you're on the field and you're favoring an injury, you have a tendency to hurt something else. So I saw it with Daniel Jones. He was playing with a cracked fibula, and then Achilles took him out. So you got to be careful. But there's a lot coming up. We're going to do the NFL training camp show like we do every year. That'll be our anniversary show and all that good stuff. But Jeff, we're going to hold whatever we got left for next week. We're creeping up on our 2 hours, and I want to make sure I get my reels from it. We can't go past 2 hours. So, guys, I want to thank Alan and Steven. Welcome aboard. Matt, Frankie, as always. Frankie, we love you to death, even though you're misguided sometimes. We do love you. Anthony and Chris and everybody else. I
think you got to be, a little careful when you say the word love with Frank.
That's true. It's true.
You got to be careful. You don't want to give him the wrong idea.
It's true. It's true. But guys, we will be back next week. So we'll do our show. We'll celebrate the 4th of July on the show next Thursday night. The following week on the 2nd, we will be off the air. We'll be back on the 9th. We hopefully will be doing our Jeff birthday show like we do every year. I don't know if Jeff's got big plans on the night before the eve of his birthday, but
probably doing the same thing I'm doing on Juneteenth Eve.
All right. Well, we'll be back either way on June 9th. And then, of course, we have our show, a big, so 9th, the 16th. So 23rd should be our NFL training camp show, ready to get going. Happy Father's Day to you too, Alan, and all you dads out there. Like I said, if you got feet, feathers, paws, whatever, happy Father's Day to you all. Wish all of your dads a happy Father's Day from all of us here. And again, thank you all guys for making the show even better when we have all you guys with us. It's a lot of fun. Hefe, anything you want to throw out there before we call it a night?
Nah, dude. I got to work Father's Day and really not celebrating it again this year. But that's okay. Maybe next year. Who knows? Whatever. And, listen, I'm already looking forward to next week's show.
Yeah, you and me both. Again, guys, enjoy your Father's Day weekends. Congratulations to the New York Knicks. Thank you for a great run and a great set of memories. Great show tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody one more time. And then again, of course, please have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. And come on back next Thursday night when Jeff and I get to do this all over again right here on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. So for Jeff, myself, and everybody out there in Hard Rocket Sports Land, we wish you a great holiday weekend. To all the dads who are here, all those dads who have left us but left their mark on us, we wish you all a happy Father's Day. Hefe, I will talk to you after.
And don't forget about all those half-naked fathers.
Yes. I still have to get to the bottom of why my dad was half-naked on the show. It's starting to frighten me.
I'm glad it was your dad, not mine. What more can I say?
Oh boy, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to wind up on the best of wheel. I'll tell you.
I would hope not. I would really hope not. But
that will not wind up on the best of wheel. But guys, enjoy your night. Hefe, I will talk to you off the air.
All right, dude. Have a good night, man.
Good night, everybody.
Later.